Welcome to the Cognate. Across India, hundreds of mosques, once filled with worshippers and sounds of prayers, now lie abandoned in varying states of disrepair. Mohammed Mirza is a 30-year-old social media executive and a history and travel enthusiast who has spent almost a decade documenting these abandoned mosques and creating awareness about their plight through his Instagram account and other social media accounts. Today on the Cognate, we're joined by Mohammed Mirza, who will be talking about his initiative. Thank you for joining us, Mirza.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. I've been following your Instagram account, which is Mosques of India, for quite some time. In fact, you've written a couple of articles for the Cognate as well. Tell us what got you interested in documenting these abandoned mosques. When did you start, and what made you interested in this?
Okay, so there's a starting date of the page and why that started, but I think basically my love for history and it's this page is out of my love for history and travel basically.
Okay.
So basically I'm from Hyderabad, so Hyderabad is filled with so many of these historic structures, and I would go past especially those on the outskirts, sometimes even those in the city. They would lie abandoned and in very bad states. And I just started photographing them back then, and I just kept them to myself.
Okay.
And sometimes some of those structures that were abandoned were mosques as well. Okay. And they were just lying there, and they're 500 years old because the Qutub Shahis were there for 400, 500 years ago. So, this is from that era. And I just get there was once this mosque that I saw in a place called Sheikh Pet. I still remember it so vividly. I haven't seen it since.
Okay.
I only went to it once, and it was just standing there it's in this bustling area of Sheikh Pet, and it had vegetation growing all over it, and it's still somehow managing to stand, despite its horrid condition. And so, that's where
Sheikh Pet is inside of Hyderabad, or is it on the outskirts?
Yeah, in Hyderabad. No, Sheikh Pet is inside Hyderabad. It's basically a prime piece of land right now because it's very close to the IT hubs. So this mosque was there, and I was just amazed by it. And there's another one right behind it as well. There's a sarai behind this mosque. Okay. Even that one had a mosque.
Okay.
And I would go to these places and there would be no one other than me, So that's where my love for this history, travel, and all started,
This was how many years ago?
This was about 10, 11 years ago.
Okay.
So it was just quite some time ago. Okay. But this page actually is a very recent thing. So, during lockdown, we had a lot of free time on our hands.
Okay.
And I actually, just before lockdown, I was introduced to some very good history pages City Tales, who documents a lot of very good. He does a very good job in documenting historic structures. There is the India Lost and Found Instagram page.
Yes.
So I saw that, and there's Live History India, who have a very good Instagram account. They have a website as well. So I saw that Instagram is becoming a place where people are sharing their stories, stories of history, and it's become an outlet to share this. It's not just about photos and a heart image anymore. People are talking about the place. So I really love that concept, and I'm they're doing it on a very big level. Let me just focus on mosques, because I've anyways traveled to so many of these places, and there's so many that I know of that the normal public doesn't know, and they're not even on Google Maps.
Yeah.
So I was let's just start this. So. That's how it started.
Okay, great. So how does the process work? I mean, have you traveled to all these mosques that have been abandoned, or did you pick it up from Google and from your the online community that you've created? How many of these mosques have you actually visited?
So basically, I'm from South India, so a lot of the mosques that are covered, if I cover it and it's in South India, it probably means that I've probably been there. But a lot of the content is actually user generated. Many of the times we have people sending us photos and texts as well, sometimes of lesser known mosques, and that's how I I even get to know about them, because there's so many across India. And so basically it's either user generated content, people tag us in their posts, so we even use the hashtag Mosques of India. I've mentioned that in my in the bio as well of Mosques of India, that just use the hashtag Mosques of India, or just message us or tag us, and you will get featured. But if they tag us with a photo of, say, Jama Masjid of Delhi, they would probably not get featured. But if they tag us of some very lesser known mosque in Delhi, then they probably would. That's how it works.
And how do you authenticate this? Is there a process to authenticate? What's being tagged is authentic at all? You have a process.
It seems like it's a very easy thing, but look, I have to spend hours on it. It really takes a lot of time. Like, if you see in almost every post that we post, we painstakingly search for the exact spot and even put the coordinates in every single post that we do.
That's correct.
So it takes a lot of time for that. And a lot of these, most of the time the text is mine. Or if the text is an excerpt from somewhere, I would mention that. Okay. And if it's my text, there's, it's like out of this passion for history, I've been reading history books for a long time, and books on historic architecture for the past couple of years. So I do have this basic understanding, but there's sometimes, so if there is authentic information available about the mosque, I would write it. Okay. If authentic information is hard to come by, because there are so many historic mosques that have nothing written about them. So we don't even know their names. So I would probably just describe the physical aspect of the mosque, like how it looks from the exterior, describe its architecture, and that's it. But I would not write from what year it is, or etc., etc. So I would just describe it, because I don't know anything more about it. There's nothing written about it, At least I didn't come across anything on it.
Yes. So. That's great. I'm talking about the reason behind these mosques being abandoned. I think some time ago, I came across this article in one of the magazines, which spoke about a similar project that was started in Europe. So this person, he was a travel enthusiast like yourself, and he started documenting these abandoned churches across Europe. And the reason why he said the churches were abandoned, one is, of course, there was lack of funding to restore these churches or to spend on the churches, because these were, many of them were historical churches. But one of the main reasons was that, lack of interest in religion across Europe. That's the reason people were not coming to these churches anymore. And that's the reason they were abandoned. But in India, or with Islam, since you've been documenting only mosques, I don't think so that's the case. People are interested in religion. A lot of people today go to mosques. Many youngsters, follow Islam. So what do you think is the reason behind these mosques being abandoned? Is there any particular reason, or are there many reasons behind this?
Actually, this page is not just about abandoned mosques. It's just about historic mosques. Yeah. But many a times the mosques that we do come across are abandoned. That I would say are abandoned. And I would say it's not due to, there being lack of interest in religion, like you said. But here, I would say in India, there are actually a variety of factors. In many places, like if you go in Punjab and Haryana, you would see that there are scores of mosques across villages, and some of these villages don't have Muslim populations anymore. Post-partition, they have left. So in some cases, it's due to that there weren't at that time, even if there are there may be Muslim populations living now, but when it was originally abandoned, there weren't. Number two, it could be due to accessibility, because a lot of these historic mosques, they're inside forts. India is dotted with so many forts, and most of these forts do have mosques in them. But if the mosque is inside a fort, it's impossible for it to be a running mosque, because there's they don't allow it. So that's another thing. There are several other reasons, like say Hyderabad or Delhi, or these cities have expanded at a very rapid pace, and the surroundings, which were, say, abandoned, like, I don't know, many hundreds of years ago, not by Muslims, by just the general populace, because Delhi has 7 cities, some say more than 7 historic cities where, they were built consecutively atop each other.
Yeah, if you go to, for example, if you go to Qutub Minar in Delhi, it was once, Qutub Minar in Delhi. I think the surrounding, it was bustling with people once upon a time when it was built, but not anymore. I mean, the city is elsewhere now. So I'm sure, that would be a huge factor in many of the historical places. I mean, if you...
that's what happened. Like, for example, in Kirki Mosque, Kirki Masjid is one of the biggest mosques in India. And it's the biggest roof, so perhaps the biggest roof mosque in India to date.
Okay, where is this mosque? This mosque?
It's in Delhi. It's in Delhi.
It's in Delhi.
So,
okay.
Yeah, but it was part of this place called Kirki village, and now it's Delhi has enveloped it, and but it's taken over by the ASI. And why aren't prayers allowed in it? Because it was a dead structure when ASI took it over. So and that status quo can be changed. So this can be another reason why mosques are these were just a few reasons why we see some of these mosques as abandoned. But if it's under ASI care, at least the structure, and there will be funds eventually, even if not now, to perhaps repair it, and it's at least under their purview. So there's some sort of protection to the mosque. It's not just standing there and will fall down on its own someday. So at least there's some sort of protection. So.
Correct. So of these mosques that you've documented so far, how many of them are under ASI protection or under any kind of protection at all? Is there any estimate? Okay.
I actually didn't keep a track of that, but honestly, not a lot. But see, there's the state protected monuments list, and there's ASI's national list, and so when you see these, a lot of these are not like. It would be tough to say because, I actually didn't keep a track of it, but yes, a lot of them, they like. One of the reasons why what I see from this page is a lot of people, like in the comment section, when I go read the comments on some of the mosques, they're like, people should repair it and stuff, and that the ASI should take it under its purview because due to its historic value, and I read all comments that are posted. So a lot of people call for things off page that these mosques should probably taken care of like under the purview of the ASI, because if not, then just going to keep crumbling. So
correct. And are these mosques? Do these mosques come under the Waqf board? I mean, a lot of mosques, for example, in Karnataka, a lot of mosques come under the purview of the Waqf board, and the Waqf board protects these mosques, at least in some cases. So, are these mosques across India? Do they come under the Waqf board or no? Do you have any idea? I mean, are you able to figure that out?
Yeah, see, again, every state has its own Waqf board as well. The biggest Waqf board we have is the Punjab and Haryana Waqf board.
That's interesting.
So that's the biggest one we have, because they have like so many historic structures, so many mosques under their purview. But I don't know of reasons why, but a lot of these mosques are just like bases, and like if you go across Punjab and Haryana, you'll see so many of these mosques. They're under the purview of the Waqf board, but
Okay. We know the status of the Waqf board. Unfortunately, the status of the Waqf board itself is under question across India. So I can understand, for how they maintain that. So, Mirza, of all the, which is the oldest mosque that you've come across? I mean, the oldest mosque which has been abandoned in months that you've been documenting this.
Okay, I haven't done this, but there's actually, since you asked about the oldest mosque, there are actually 3 claimants to the oldest mosque in India.
Okay.
One is the famous one, the Cheraman Juma Masjid in Kerala. Yeah, and then there is the Jama Masjid of Kilakarai, which is it's in Tamil Nadu, and then there is one in Gujarat as well. So there are 3 claimants to the oldest mosque title. The one, the one in Kerala and the one in Tamil Nadu, they're still used for prayers. But the one in Gujarat is abandoned. So yeah, we didn't feature it on our page yet. So that is probably, the one in Gujarat is probably the oldest mosque that lies abandoned. And you know, these all three claim to be from the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him.
Correct. That's true. It's quite interesting.
They correspond to around 628 to 630 AD. You know, the claims of you know, their date of inscription or founding or the date they were built. They claim that they were between 628 to 630. So we have three claimants in India, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry for asking.
Yes. I mean, it's quite interesting. I mean, these three states. Not a lot of people actually know about this, but you know, there's a lot of historical connection between Kerala and Gujarat and some parts of Tamil Nadu as well. Recently, I was, I just finished reading a book called Tuhfat al-Mujahideen. It's a book written in the 16th century by an Islamic scholar called Sheikh Zainuddin Maktoum. So the book, is about the Portuguese occupation of Kerala, how the Portuguese came in, and the resistance move that was put up by the Muslims in Kerala, along with the Zamorin kings, of Calicut. But he also talks about how Islam came into Kerala and how it spread into different parts of India later on. So he talks about the Cheraman Masjid, and he also talks about the people who came in from Arabia to build Cheraman. They also went to different parts of Tamil Nadu as well, and they spread the message of Islam. And then one of the interesting things that I found was that a lot of these people actually traveled to Gujarat as well. So there's this very interesting connection between these three states. A lot of people don't know about this, but it's quite interesting. So yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
No, I was just agreeing to your point. Indeed, there are so many stories to tell, but unfortunately, not everything is recorded. And
Exactly. Even this, the claim of Cheraman Masjid being the oldest one, or the fact that, or the claim that it was built, or the King Cheraman actually went to Arabia during the time of the Prophet ﷺ himself. There are multiple versions of this as well. So some people say that, he went to Arabia after the Prophet ﷺ passed away. Some people say that he went and met the Prophet ﷺ during his lifetime. He accepted Islam. So there are different versions. So it's quite fascinating how all these things connect. Right. So, Mr. Apart from documenting, for these mosques, what else can people do? I mean, how does the entire community or people in general who are interested in restoring these historical, buildings, how do they pitch in? How do they contribute to documenting this and restoring this?
So how can people contribute? First of all, if you know of a historic mosque, that's perhaps lying in abandoned or in a small village, just send me the photos and send me the photos. Write anything you know about it. If you don't, just leave it to me. Then I will have to research and see if I can find anything about it. And we'll definitely post it because. That's how at least some bit of awareness can be made. And, it's up to the people to decide how they want to, what the best course of action is. I do not advise on what course of action to take, how to, start prayers in a mosque again or anything as such, because the page's purpose is not that. The page's purpose is just to tell the stories behind these mosques, or to just cover these historic mosques. It's almost like when I look at it now, when I started this, it didn't seem as such, but when I look at it now, it almost looks like it's when I go through the feed, sometimes I just have a habit of going through the old posts, and when I do go through, it seems like it's almost like a celebration of the rich heritage that India is blessed with.
Correct. Right, absolutely. I mean, it's quite sad that I can understand in the outskirts of a city mosques being abandoned. But I'm sure that, I mean, when you spoke about mosques inside the city where there are Muslims living, when you hear about mosques like these being abandoned, it's quite sad. It also shows the state of affairs and the lack of interest, in preserving the historical monuments, or part of our own history, part of our own culture and religion. So that's the state of affairs. I mean, that's something that we need to ponder on. And so thank you so much, Mirza. I mean, thank you for enlightening us, and thank you for documenting all these things. I mean, these are not something that people usually do, but you've been doing a remarkable work here. So that's Mohammed Mirza, the 30-year-old travel enthusiast who's been documenting abandoned mosques and historical mosques across India. You can see his documentation, his work on his Instagram and his Facebook page as well. You're on Facebook as well, right? It's the same handle, Mosques of India.
Twitter, Instagram. We're on all three platforms because a lot of people I know are not on Instagram, so for them, it's like Facebook, and there's just like it's quite interesting, the kind of responses we get on every account, and because you have different age groups on different platforms, according to me. So it's actually very interesting to see how the reactions of different people are, and the kind of content they send us and the kind of content they tag us in is actually very different as well. So it's an interesting process.
Absolutely. So people do follow Mirza's account, Mosques of India, across different social media platforms. And if you know of any abandoned mosque, any historical mosque that needs to get attention, please tag him. His hashtag is Mosques of India across social media platforms. And thank you so much for watching the Cognate. Do like and share this video so that it reaches as many people as possible. Thank you so much.